Throughout time, people across the world told each other tales of how they came to be, of heroes and monsters, romance and tragedy, death and rebirth. Mythology helped shape the ancient world, explaining the unexplainable. This is Mythology Unleashed. At the height of westward expansion on the American frontier, lumberjacks working for logging companies were a necessity. To say it was a dangerous occupation, felling trees and clearing the land, would be an understatement. Severe weather, natural obstacles of immense size all but isolating the logging communities, working every day with axes and saws and other sharp instruments, with hundreds upon hundreds of pounds of felled lumber all around. It was an arduous job, filled with risk. A job best suited for a giant of a man. During the 19th century, lumberjacks began telling stories around the campfire of the legendary Paul Bunyan, a lumberjack of great strength, immense size, work ethic, and great heart. Many tales claim he was born on the coast of Bangor, Maine. Even as a newborn, he was immense in size, needing 5 full-grown storks working overtime to deliver him to his parents. His parents had to milk 24 cows each morning and night to keep his milk bottle full, and his mother had to feed him 10 barrels of porridge every 2 hours to keep his stomach from rumbling and knocking the house down. His first bed was a lumber wagon pulled by a team of horses. When Paul outgrew this, his parents put him on a raft off the coast of Maine, but the rocking in his sleep would cause huge waves that sank many ships. Eventually, the Bunyan family moved deep into the wilderness, so Paul could grow without disturbing others around him. Deep in the woods, Paul garnered his love and talent for chopping trees. One swing of his mighty axe was said to clear an acre of forest as easily as he was mowing grass. One winter, it was so cold that all the geese flew backwards. All spoken words froze solid before they could be heard, and even the snow itself turned blue. Paul went out walking in the woods one day during that winter of the blue snow, when he saw a baby blue ox just hopping about in the snow. Paul took the little blue ox home with him, where he warmed the little ox by the fire, and the little fellow fluffed up and dried out, but he remained as blue as the snow that had stained him in the first place. Paul went on to name him Babe, the blue ox. Any creature raised in Paul Bunyan's care tended to grow to massive proportions, and Babe was no exception. Folks that stared at him for 5 minutes could see him growing right before their eyes. Babe grew so big that it took a murder of crows an entire day to fly from one horn to the other. Babe would chew up 30 bales of hay, wire and all, and right after that, he would eat a ton of grain for lunch, and then come pestering for another snack. When Paul was fully grown, he was 63 axe handles high, and a renowned lumberjack, with strength and wits as massive as his frame. With a double-bladed axe in hand, and Babe at his side, Paul made his way from the forests of Maine all the way to the Pacific Northwest, cutting down trees for lumber while his trusty ox hauled the loads without complaint. With him was his bookkeeper Johnny Inkslinger, said to have invented the first ink pen, as the tale goes, by attaching a barrel of ink to a hose. The 7 axemen, all named Elmer, who sharpened his axe against large stones rolling downhill, and the cook, Sourdough Sam, who oversaw Paul's 10-square-mile kitchen. According to the legends, the United States looks the way it does, full of mountains, craters, and winding rivers, because of Paul's adventures. He cleared North and South Dakota of nearly every tree, transforming the states into farmlands. Tracts left by him in Minnesota went on to become lakes, granting the area the nickname, the Land of 10,000 Lakes. He dug Lake Michigan as a waterhole for Babe, and dug Lake Superior as a reservoir, as he needed water to ice his logging roads. The Mississippi River was caused by the overturning of a water tank when Babe slipped. He dug the Missouri River, Puget Sound, and the Columbia River for his shipping timber and supplies. He dragged his axe along the Arizona ground and created the Grand Canyon. Paul created Yellowstone Falls as a means to shower himself. Pikes Peak, the highest summit of the southern Rocky Mountains, was made by him as a lookout for all the work that he accomplished. He solved the logjam by straightening out the Wisconsin River by use of brute force. The Grand Teton mountain range was created when Paul and Babe were playing rough. When Babe finally passed away, the mound Paul buried him under became the Black Hills of South Dakota. Paul Bunyan's gargantuan efforts on the frontier opened the American West for trade, work, and colonization. No one is exactly sure whatever happened to Paul Bunyan. Some stories claim that because he cleared the land so well, the country became too crowded for him to live comfortably. Others say that with the rise of new technology and advancements in the lumber industry, Paul felt that his services were no longer needed. Whatever the reason, Paul was said to have made a pilgrimage to northern Alaska, where the flashes of his axe shone as the Aurora Borealis.